in the diversity of living world. The next chapter is science of plants, botany. So here initially there was a branch called as biology. The study of living organisms is called as biology. So this is derived from Greek language, in which bios means life, logos means discourse. So that is the study of the living organisms. Here, since from ancient time, the human being started observing the living things around them, that laid the foundation of biology. So that is observation of the surroundings or natural surroundings which are present around them. So the earliest man, the ancient people, when they started the civilization, and earlier to civilization, they started observing their surroundings. That laid the foundation for the separate science that is called as biology. Likewise, as the time had been going on, the evolution or the changes had been taken place in the concepts of biology. Likewise, it led to growth and development of biology. And here, as the persons had started observing differences between the plants and animals, later this biology have been separated into the plant sciences, that is botany, and animal sciences, that is zoology. But despite of some variation, we can say that some basic similarities are there between the plants and animals. Because of that one, we study both of them under one science, that is called as biology. And as the development was going on, taking place, so we have seen that new branches of sciences have been coming into existence. And not only that thing, so there was a drastic change in the study of biology, which led to sophisticated and advanced knowledge by development of or discovery of new instruments. So likewise, it lead to the new concepts or new branches like biophysics and biochemistry. That is the concepts of units and have been used in the study of life processes or the life, and the study of the chemical substances related to the living organisms is been discussed in the biochemistry. Likewise, some other new branches have been coming into existence. Those are chromatography. Chromatography is the process of separation of the mixture. It is a process where if a mixture contains different types of substances, those substances have been separated based on their some properties. So that type of concept is called as chromatography. Centrifugation. It is a process of application of a centripetal force for the sedimentation of heterogeneous compounds. Then electrophoresis. Here it is a technique which is useful for separation of macromolecules based on their size. Here it is a process where the separation of macromolecules like RNA, DNA, proteins, etc. So the fragments of RNA are separated based on their molecular weight or based on the size. The fragments of DNA are separated based on their size and the molecular weight. In the same way, the fragments of proteins are also been separated by using this electrophoresis technique. Next one, spectroscopy. It is a process of study of interaction between matter and electromagnetic radiation. As new techniques have been come into existence which had helped in the development of biology as a science, which had shown a drastic change in the observation, study and experimentation. Likewise, from the point of starting of the study of life forms, so if you observe last 3 decades, there is a lot of difference or there is a lot of change or development in the science, that is biology, and the biology is also been growing fast, or we can say one of the fast growing sciences along with astrophysics and other concepts or other branches of sciences. And here last 30 years or we can say last 3 decades had considered to be the most important in the development of biology, because there is a lot of change or new things have been added, new discoveries have been added to the biology which had led to growth and development. So likewise, we can consider this as now present era as a golden era of biology. So likewise here the changes have been observed by the scientists in the form and structure and functions of plants and animals. They had divided this biology into 2 branches, that is botany and zoology. Let us see the development or the origin of botany as a science. Origin. Biology in relation to the study of plants is called as botany. Here we consider it as a plant science. And the word botany was taken from Greek language, in which bos means cattle and bowskin means cattle feed. Generally the cattle will feed on the grass and the green parts of the plant body, and later it have been modified into a word called as botany, and in the course of its usage now we are calling this as botany. This is the way how this word botany have been taken from the Greek language and been modified into the present day word called as botany. And let us see the development which had been taken place in the botany. So here the observation of plants have been there since ancient time. So the people when the civilization have been started, they started depending upon the plants for various purposes, or we can say the simultaneously the civilization and the botany have been shown some growth and development. So in this one, initially in the ancient people, they used to depend upon plants for various purposes, like as a food, for shelter, for medicines and also for clothes. Likewise, for various purposes the ancient people were started depending upon the plants. Likewise, they come to know the usage of these plants. Now they started gradually converting the wild plants into the domesticated ones, or they converted some of the plants which are useful for them into the cultivable forms, or we can say crop plants, or particularly which are used as a food, are converted into domesticated or the cultivable forms. So likewise, so the first evidence for the study related to the plants and their observation is there in 4000 BC. So that is by Egyptians and Assyrians. In 4000 BC, these people had preserved the plants, particularly the crop plants, croplands and fruit trees. They had preserved the pictures of croplands and fruit trees, and that is called as hieroglyphics. Then in 2500 BC, Chinese people, they come to know about the process of cultivation of the plants. Then when it comes to India, in 2000 BC, so we know that 4 Vedas are there, in which Atharvana Veda is a evidence which gives about the study of plants or observation of the plants, particularly the medicinal plants. And not only the medicinal plants, we know that the medicinal plants are useful for various purposes and their uses. So this is the first evidence of the study related to, or the concepts related to the plants are present in Atharvana Veda in India. So likewise, the growth and development had been observed in the study of plant sciences. And in 1300 BC, Parasara, he who is considered as the father of botany in India, or Indian father of botany, he wrote 2 books. One is called as Vriksha Ayurveda, and other book is called as Krishi Parasharam. Krishi Parasharam is the first book on agriculture. Not only that thing, this also give the concepts of weed. And Krishi Parasharam is a book which deals about different types of forests. And also gives the information related to the medicinal plants, particularly internal and external characters of medicinal plants. So Parasara is a person who is considered to be the first person belonging to India, had given some concepts and study related to the plants which are useful for the humankind. That's why he is considered as the father of botany in India. Greek philosophers are there. Those are Socrates, Plato and Aristotle. So these are the 3 persons who are responsible for establishment of botany as science. And one more, the most important person is Theophrastus. In 340 BC, he studied and described the characteristic features of nearly 500. Theophrastus in 340 BC, he studied about nearly 500 species of plants, both the internal and external characteristic features. And Theophrastus is considered as father of botany. Then he given all this information in a book called as De Historia Plantarum. Then thereafter the study of plants was there, but it was not an well established one, and we can say that for longer period there was no much development, drastic change in the study of plant sciences. But in the 16th and 17th century, once again there had started a large drastic change in the study of plant sciences. That's why we consider the 16th and 17th centuries as a Renaissance period. So why there is a drastic change in the study of plant sciences during 16th and 17th century is the experimental studies have been started during this period of time, and this era is called as herbalist era, and the persons who are related to the 16th and 17th century and those scientists are called as herbalists, and the books which are written by the scientists are called as herbals. Particularly the herbals deals about majority of them are related to the medicinal plants. Then one of the herbalists is Gaspard Bahin. He is a person who studied about nearly 6,000 plant species. Description and identification of near about 6,000 plant species was done by this scientist, and apart from this one, he was the first person to introduce binomial nomenclature. But of course, the development related to the binomial nomenclature goes to lineage scientists, but the concept of binomial nomenclature, that is naming the plants by using two words, was started with Gaspard Bahin scientist. In the same way, likewise some other scientists are there like Brunfels, D.O. Abel. So likewise many such scientists are there who are responsible for the experimental studies during the 16th and 17th centuries. Now let us see how the development was taken place from there onwards, from 17th century till the present era. During 17th century, botany had emerged as a specific science, and here development related to the plant sciences, that the discovery of cell was the most important thing related to the 17th century. The person who was related to this one is Robert Hooke. When he was observing the slices of bark of oak plant, actually bark is a dry part which is formed as a result of secondary growth, and bark contains dead cells. He had observed under his lenses, so he could see this type of organization with hollow spaces. So these hollow spaces were there, and based on that condition or based on that nature, he had said that those hollow spaces as cell. Actually this is taken from a word called as cellula, which means hollow spaces. But actually this is not the exact concept what the cells are having, because cells contains a protoplasm which are considered to be the living one, but whatever the cells that have been observed by this Robert Hooke was a dead part of the plant body. That's why he could see only the hollow spaces which are surrounded by the cell wall, and we can say that cell wall was first observed by Robert Hooke scientist. But okay, and he had written all these concepts in his book called as Micrographia. This is a book which was written by this scientist. Then next scientist is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek is the first person to observe the cell in a living condition. So he had taken the scrapings of his teeth, and he had observed some sort of dazzling movement under the microscope, and as the dazzling movement was observed, he could say that they are nothing but some sort of animals, and they had given the name as animalcules. Likewise, he was the first person to observe the cell in the living condition, that is bacteria. Of course, he named bacteria as animalcules based on the dazzling movement. Likewise, he had observed the red blood cells also, and the protozoans. So all these are the examples for cells in a living condition. So Robert Hooke is the first person to observe the cells, but Leeuwenhoek is the first person to observe the cells in a living condition, or he was the first person to observe the living cell. Next, Nehemiah Grew and Marcello Malfigi. These are two persons who are responsible for the study related to the tissues, that is the establishment of the concepts related to the anatomy. Then Camerarius, he is a person who said that sexual reproduction is present in the plants. So these are the group of scientists who are related to the specific study related to the plant sciences. During 18th century, there was a development in two branches of plant sciences. Those are taxonomy and physiology. So taxonomy related with the study of identification, nomenclature and classification of the plants, and physiology deals about all metabolic functions related to the plants. So that's what the development was there in two branches of plant sciences. So related to taxonomy, Carolus von Linnaeus. He is considered as a father of taxonomy, and he was the person who was credited for development of binomial nomenclature. And he was a person who given all the information related to the taxonomy in two books. One is called as Species Plantarum and Systema Naturae. Then other work which was done by Carolus von Linnaeus was he had proposed some principles of classification. According to the scientist, both vegetative and reproductive characters are there. Out of these two, the sexual characters are more stable when compared to the vegetative characteristic features. And he had given the classification of the plants. So his classification of plants is called as sexual system of classification. In this sexual system of classification, he had classified the plants based on the characteristic features of sex organs, particularly the characters related to the stamens and carpels. As we know that stamens are the male reproductive organs and carpels are the female reproductive organs. As the classification is based only on the sex organs, that's why his classification is called as sexual system of classification. And he had considered only the characters of stamens and carpels. That's why it is a part of artificial system of classification. Next one is related to plant physiology, that is Stephen Hales. He was a person who conducted many experiments related to the plant physiology, particularly the conduction of water and minerals through the xylem tissue. And the xylem tissue will conduct the water minerals because of some pressure that is exerted or developed inside the xylem cells, that is called as root pressure. So this concept was given by Stephen Hales, scientist. And next one related to physiology is Joseph Priestley. Joseph Priestley had conducted many such experiments related to plant physiology. In that, based on his experiments, he concluded that the green parts of the plant will absorb toxic gases and they release pure gases. That is the concept which was given by this scientist. Likewise, these are the development that have been observed during the 18th century. During 19th century, there was more drastic change in the plant sciences, particularly when we talk about genetics. So, Gregor Johann Mendel is considered as the father of genetics. He is a person who conducted experiments on pea plants, that is hybridization, experiments on pea plant. Actually, he had conducted many such experiments on all varieties of plants, and finally he concluded that pea is the best plant to study about the genetics because of some special characters, like it's an annual plant and easy to grow it and easy to handle it, and it contains both the sexual characters which are very much clearly visible. Like some particular characters are there, based on that one he has selected pea plant as a experimental material for his hybridization experiments, and he had considered some characteristic features. In that he took 7 contrasting characteristic features, and in that process he had done monohybrid crossing and dihybrid crossing, and when he done all these crossings he concluded and confirmed some laws also. Those are called as laws of inheritance. Those are law of dominance, law of purity of gametes, or law of segregation. So likewise some laws have been proposed. Because of all this one, he is considered to be the father of genetics. Ecological studies have been started by the work of Haeckel scientist, and related to plant taxonomy, that is identification of the plants. So there are many such scientists are there. Those are Endlicher, Bentham and Hooker, de Candolle scientist. These are the persons who are related with the development of taxonomy. So the word taxonomy was coined by A.P.D. Candolle scientist, and Endlicher and Bentham Hooker are related with the classification of the plants. So Bentham Hooker system of classification is one of the best classifications which is followed in many countries. Then Buchner had discovered the enzyme zymase in the yeast cells. So yeast is an unicellular fungi. Charles Darwin had proposed theory of evolution, and as we know that he is considered as a father of evolution, and he published Origin of the Species and proposed many such concepts like survival of the fittest and natural selection. In that, all this will be the part of the theory of evolution. So this was the development which have been observed during the 19th century. During 20th century, the development was very much apparent in some of the branches of plant sciences like cell biology and other branches. Particularly, many such discoveries have been done related to cell biology during 20th century. One is related with Hugo de Vries. The concept of mutations was given by Hugo de Vries, and he had proved that by performing many such experiments. So here the mutations means sudden heritable changes. So like some changes may occur in the organisms which are transferred to the next generation. Such type of variations are called as mutations. Sutton and Boveri, they had given chromosomal theory. According to this chromosomal theory, the chromosomes are acting as a vehicles of heredity. That means they carry the heritable characters from one generation to other generation. Watson and Crick. These are the well-known persons who had given the double helix model for DNA. So they had taken the knowledge from other scientists like Pauling and Wilkins and Franklin. So based on their knowledge, they had developed a double helix model for DNA. For that purpose, they got Nobel Prize also. Next, H.G. Khorana. He is a person related to the artificial synthesis of genes. So next one is a Frankel Conrad. He was a person to say that genetical nature of RNA. Actually, we know that DNA is a genetic material which will help in the heredity, carrying the genes from one organism to the next generation. But RNA is also have the ability of genetical nature was given by Frankel Conrad scientist. Then one more branch, that is tissue culture. Tissue culture is an new concept where the large number of plants are produced in a laboratory by using the culture medium. So this process of production of large number of plants in a short period of time is called as micropropagation. So many such scientists are there who are related with the development of plants by using the tissue culture. So that is healthy plants, the endangered plant species can be protected and conserved by using this tissue culture technique. So many such scientists are related to this tissue culture. Those are Shimakura, Hanning, White, Niche, Skoog, Maheshwari. So Pancharan Maheshwari is a person, Indian famous embryologist scientist. He is the first person to conduct fertilization in the test tube, that is in vitro fertilization was done by this scientist. So this process of in vitro fertilization had made him world famous, and the entire world was observing the experiment which was done by this scientist. And Skoog, next group of scientists are Knoll and Ruska. These are the two scientists who are related with the discovery of electron microscope. That is, they invented the electron microscope. So the invention of electron microscope had changed a lot of development, or brought a lot of development in the plant sciences, because it helped in observing the ultrascopic structure of the plant cell. That is cell and its cell components can be clearly been seen by using that one. During 20th century, the plant physiology was also shown a lot of change, like the discovery of auxins by F.W. Wendt. So which is one of the most important natural plant growth hormone in the plants. The same way, related to the other physiological aspects, Sir Hans Krebs, he was responsible, or he is a person studied about the intermediate compounds which are formed during citric acid cycle. To give honor to the scientist, the citric acid cycle is also called as Krebs cycle. This is the second step after glycolysis in the aerobic respiration, where the pyruvic acid is completely oxidized into carbon dioxide and water molecules by releasing some energy in the form of ATP and NADP forms. And this cycle is also called as a tricarboxylic acid cycle. Then during this 20th century, there is a lot of development related to the photosynthesis also. As we know that in photosynthesis, the light reaction and the carbon dioxide fixation are the two steps which are very much prominent. In that, related to the light reaction, the work of Arnon, Emerson, Rubin, Hill, like Hill reaction and the concept of how the oxygen is released from water molecule, all that was related to light reaction was done by the scientists. Emerson had given the concept that two photosystems are present, that is photosystem 1 and the photosystem 2. So Arnon, Rubin and Hill are related with that oxygen is released from water molecule during the process of light reaction of photosynthesis. Then related to carbon dioxide fixation, Melvin Calvin, Basham and Benson. So these are three persons related to the carbon dioxide fixation in most of the plants by C3 cycle. So C3 cycle is a process of carbon dioxide fixation where the first stable compound that is formed is an 3 carbon compound, that is a 3-PGA, 3-phosphoglyceric acid. And intermediate compounds were also being studied by Melvin Calvin scientist by using radioisotopes. Next one is Hatch and Slack. These are the two persons who had done work related to the C4 carbon dioxide fixation by C4 cycle. This is a process which occurs in the plants growing in the subtropical and the tropical regions. And in the same way, Professor Ramdas, he had done the work on C4 cycle in sugarcane plant. Then apart from this plant physiology scientists, so the development was also been done in the palynology. Palynology deals about the study of pollen grains. Many such scientists are there. Those are P.K.K. Nair, Ramanujan, Woodhouse, are some of the scientists who are related with the development of palynology. As the development was taking on, the taxonomy was also shown a lot of drastic change. So in that related to the development of taxonomy, Hutchinson, Cronquist, Bessie, Rendell, Takhtajan are some of the scientists who are related with the multidisciplinary system of classification, that is phylogenetic system of classification. So likewise, during the 20th century, a lot of changes have been taken place in the plant physiology and also in the taxonomy branches of botany.